All right, good morning, everyone. We will begin. I am Secretary Treasurer Christian Latta, filling for President Rosenbaum today, since he is enjoying his illustrious vacation in Europe, which we all wish we could be there with him. Today, we will begin our September 19th, 2024 CBO meeting. The CBO has provided the opportunity for the public to participate via the WebEx platform. When we take public comments, we will begin by taking public comment from those individuals attending the meeting at the San Marcos location. I will then ask the moderator to open up lines for public comment. You will be allotted up to 5 minutes for public comment. Next, Ms. Reed, can you please establish a quorum?
Debbie Aguilera.
Present.
Patricia Batchelor.
Here.
Nancy Corrigan.
Present.
Nancy Dong.
Present.
Karen Farrell-Hyde.
Here.
Christian Latta.
Present.
Tony Lynn.
Here.
Trina Salazar.
Present.
Thompson.
Here.
And Evangeline Ford. Present. We have a quorum.
Thank you, Ms. Reed. I will now read our mission statement into record. The city's mission is to protect consumers by ensuring only qualified licensees practice public accountancy in accordance with established professional standards. This mission is derived from the statutory requirement that protection of the public shall be the highest priority for the California Board of Accountancy in exercising its licensing, regulatory, and disciplinary functions. Whenever the protection of the public is inconsistent with other interests sought to be promoted, the protection of the public shall be paramount. Now we will continue on and begin our agenda item 1, which is our petition hearing for today. I will now turn it over to our Administrative Law Judge, Nye Perkins.
Thank you very much. Can everyone hear me? Fine, okay. Good morning, everyone. Mr. Milano, are you ready to go on the record? Okay. All right. I will open the record in the matter of the petition for reinstatement of surrendered certificate filed by William Rawson Wyckoff. That's first name William, middle name Rawson, last name Wyckoff. This bears Office of Administrative Hearings, case number 20240400635. Today's date is September 19th, 2024. My name is Deborah Nye Perkins. I am an administrative law judge with the State of California's Office of Administrative Hearings, assigned to sit with the Board of Accountancy today for this hearing. May I take appearance for the record, please, of counsel?
Good morning, Deputy Attorney General Ted Durkar.
Thank you, Mr. Durkar. And Mr. Wyckoff, you're here representing yourself. Is that correct?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. I'm going to give you a little bit of information as to how this proceeding works. Essentially, you have the burden to prove that you're entitled to reinstatement of your certificate. And typically, how we proceed in this hearing today is you've provided documents to the board, which have been uploaded here on our Case Center platform. And I believe all the board members here also have copies of those documents as well. Mr. Durkar is going to give us sort of a statement of the case, introduce those documents, and then after that, it'll be your opportunity to provide your evidence. I'll place you under oath, and you can provide me with your testimony, any documents that you may additionally have or may want to provide to me. Mr. Durkar will have an opportunity to cross-examine you, ask you any questions, and then at some point, myself and many of the board members will also have an opportunity to ask you questions. After that, we'll have a closing statement from each of you if you'd like, and then after the hearing concludes, then the board will meet in closed session to discuss, to deliberate. Okay? All right. So before we get started substantively, what I prefer to do and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to mark documents for identification on the Case Lines electronic platform, which is the official document platform for the case. I know you guys all have paper copies, which is fine. So you'll probably be able to follow along. I'm going to try to use some of the bait stamps that you have. But, the first document that I'm going to mark as Exhibit 1 is the petition in this matter. Now, this document has Bates numbers from Case Center of A1 through A30, but it has Bates numbers for you, which are WRWPET 007 through PETs 004. I guess they're not in order. 035. Is that correct, Mr. Descartes?
Yeah, that's right. And I put 004 at the end. That's the certification from the board that this is the authentic petition received.
Okay, I'm going to mark all that as Exhibit 1. The next document I'll mark as Exhibit 2. This document is the notice of hearing in this matter. It's case lines Bates numbers A31 through A33, and that is PT 065 through 067. I'll mark all of that as Exhibit 2. Next document I'll mark as Exhibit 3 is license history document. That is case center Bates number A34 through A38. Your Bates number is PET 060 through 064. Mark all of that as Exhibit 3. Next document I'll mark as Exhibit 4. And this document is the prior disciplinary documents. In this case, Bates numbered A39 through A53 on case center. That would be PET 045 through 059 on your Bates numbers. And I'll mark that as Exhibit 4. The next document I'll mark as Exhibit 5. This document is Bates numbered in case lines A54 through A63. It has your Bates number of PET 036 through 044 plus a notice of service at 005. And I'll mark all of that as Exhibit 5. And the last document I will mark as Exhibit 6. This document is Bates numbered in case center A64 through A66. It has your Bates number of PET 001 through 003. And I'll mark all of that as Exhibit 6. Okay, Mr. Descartes, would you like to provide a statement of the case?
Yes, Your Honor. And just as to preface my statement of the case, I want to explain that I appear on behalf of the people of the state of California by authority of Business and Professions Code Section 5115 and Government Code Section 11522 for this hearing. My role is to assist the board members and Your Honor in fact-finding. This role is not adversarial, but is intended to protect the public health, safety, and welfare. I'm here to make sure you and the board members have all the information that you need to make a reasoned decision. And I'll now provide a summary of the case. This is Mr. Wyckoff's second petition for reinstatement. He received his CPA certificate back in 1981. His license was surrendered to the CBA effective August 31st, 2020 by a decision of this board that adopted his stipulated surrender. The stipulated surrender admitted all charges and allegations in the accusation. The accusation, which is at pages 53 to 59 of your materials, was filed in December 2019, and it states 4 causes for discipline, which I'll now inventory. The first is discipline by another state based upon action by the Arizona Board of Accountancy in 2018. The second cause for discipline is discipline by another government agency, which includes not only the Arizona Board, but also the California Department of Real Estate. The Department of Real Estate accepted Mr. Wyckoff's surrender of his real estate license in 2012. The third cause for discipline in the accusation was failure to report a civil judgment. In 2009, a judgment was entered against Mr. Wyckoff in San Diego Superior Court following a jury trial. And that was a judgment for fraud and breach of fiduciary duty. Licensees have 30 days to report such matters, but Mr. Wyckoff never reported it. The fourth cause for discipline in the accusation was failure to report discipline by another state. He was also required to report the Arizona discipline within 30 days, but he did not do so. And so the underlying basis for discipline by all of the different regulatory agencies, the California Department of Real Estate, the Arizona Board, and this board, is that 2009 civil judgment in that civil case that went to a jury trial. The jury verdict found Mr. Wyckoff liable for fraud and breach of fiduciary duty to two clients that he represented in a real estate transaction. The amount of that civil judgment was $260,000 plus $225,000 in punitive damages. Now, I'm familiar as a lawyer with what punitive damages are. I'll briefly explain to you what they are. They're a special monetary award when a defendant is found guilty of oppression, fraud, or malice. And then the Civil Code Section 3294 provides that punitive damages imposed for the sake of example and by way of punishing the defendant to deter similar future misconduct. That 2009 judgment, it was confirmed on appeal in 2010. In 2012, the California Department of Real Estate filed an accusation that stated a cause for discipline based upon Mr. Wyckoff's acts of fraud, misrepresentation, or deceit in a transaction for which a real estate license is required. Mr. Wyckoff then surrendered his real estate license. In 2018, the Arizona Board of Accountancy ordered that Mr. Wyckoff's right to practice as a CPA in that state be relinquished. Based on that 2009 civil fraud judgment and his failure to disclose it in his 2011 application to the Arizona Board for a license, in which he said no in response to a question in his application for an Arizona license. The question asked, do you have any final judgments in a civil action with findings related to accounting violations, dishonesty, fraud, misrepresentation, or breach of fiduciary duty? He should have answered yes, but he answered no. The Arizona Board ordered that his right to practice as a CPA was relinquished effective September 27th, 2018. Didn't report this to the CBA. And in 2019, when CBA staff became aware of the Arizona action and asked Mr. Wyckoff to explain the circumstances behind the Arizona discipline, Mr. Wyckoff didn't provide any explanation for why he hadn't reported it to the CBA. Now I'll touch on his prior petition for reinstatement. He previously petitioned in 2021, and this board heard his petition at its November 2021 meeting. The board's decision, which is at pages 36 to 44 of your materials, granted his petition in part. The part that was granted was to relieve Mr. Wyckoff of his obligation to pay any of the costs that had been assessed in his stipulated surrender based upon his showing of financial difficulties. So if Mr. Wyckoff is reinstated, there won't be any requirement for him to pay costs. However, the board did deny his petition for reinstatement based upon a finding that he had not demonstrated rehabilitation. The decision found that Mr. Wyckoff didn't accept responsibility for his actions because he blamed his supervising real estate broker and the judge in the civil case. The board also stated its concern in that decision that Mr. Wyckoff was unaware of whether the individuals he had harmed had recovered any money to compensate them for their losses. The decision noted that Mr. Wyckoff's stated reason for reinstatement was to engage in tax preparation. The board noted that there are other ways that a person can do tax preparation other than having a CPA certificate. At the 2021 hearing, Mr. Wyckoff acknowledged that he should have timely reported the 2009 civil judgment and the 2018 Arizona order to the CBA, but claimed he was unaware of his obligation to do so. And now turning to his present petition, he explains at page 12 why he believes the petition should be granted. He states that he has waited 2 years since his last petition was denied, some extra time, he's saying, more than the 1 year required. He notes that he recently became an enrolled agent with the IRS, and he attached a copy of an enrolled agent identification card, which was issued in 2023. He says that he only wants his CPA license to do tax preparation and tax consulting. He does not intend to or ask for permission to do any attestation work. Mr. Wyckoff provided certificates from enrolled agent continuing education courses, and he provided 3 reference letters, which I'll briefly summarize. One is from a client who commended Mr. Wyckoff for doing taxes for her and her husband for just $125 at a point in time when her husband was disabled and unable to work. Another recommendation letter is from a client who's known Mr. Wyckoff for 60 years and has been a tax client of his for the past 17 years. He says that he appreciates Mr. Wyckoff's tax work and consulting that he provided on complex issues related to real estate and divorce. The last reference letter is from a client who's grateful for Mr. Wyckoff's work on tax returns. That concludes my summary of the case. Mr. Wyckoff has the burden to prove his rehabilitation by clear and convincing evidence. And once his presentation is done, I'll have some questions for him. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jakar. I presume we want to move these documents into evidence. If there's no objections, I'm going to go ahead and do that. And I'm going to admit Exhibit 1, which is the petition in this matter. And Mr. Wyckoff, I presume you have no objections to my receiving any of these documents.
I can't hear very good.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Mr. Wyckoff, I presume you have no objections to me receiving any of these documents into evidence that you provided as part of your petition, correct?
No, but I think a couple documents I provided, the attorney did not read. I have that, what do you call it? Taxpayer bond. I've got a copy of that in there.
Okay, and we'll get to that once it's your opportunity to testify. You can explain that if you'd like, but I'm just asking if you have any reason for me not to receive any of these documents into evidence.
No,
Okay, all right, so Exhibit 1 is admitted. Exhibit 2 is going to be admitted. Exhibit 3, license history is going to be admitted. Exhibit 4, history documents are admitted. Exhibit 5 is the decision on the petition, that's admitted. And then we have a memorandum from the board, and I'm going to admit that document as well. That's Exhibit 6. Okay, all right, now, Mr. Wyckoff, I'm going to place you under oath, okay?
Yes.
Please raise your right hand for me. You swear or affirm under the penalty of perjury to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth in this hearing today?
I do.
Okay, you can put your hand down. And could you please state your full name for me? I have this information, but go ahead.
Rawson Wyckoff.
Okay. And what is your current age, Mr. Wyckoff?
I'm 86.
86.
It's the twilight of my career.
Okay. And are you currently employed?
I am self-employed as an enrolled agent, and I do collect Social Security, so that's my source of income.
How long have you been self-employed?
Probably way back, even when I got my first license years ago, 1980, 1981.
And when you say you're self-employed as an enrolled agent, what do you mean? What type of work do you do?
I do tax returns, enrolled agent, IRS, yeah.
And how long have you done that work specifically?
Approximately, 2 years, almost, year and a half, 2 years, it's in the record. Got a copy of my enrolled agent.
Okay. All right, Mr. Wyckoff, what do you want to tell us today about why you want your certification reinstated?
Well, as I said, I'm in the twilight of my career. I'm only going to do tax returns, but the people I do business with, I have CPA license. I do not want, and I will promise never to do any audit, compilation, or write-up work. I only want to do tax work. And what I've also done, and I've just a surety bond, and I've done my continuing education. There are reports in there. With the enrolled agent, I can't do any continuing education with a CPA because I don't have a CPA license, but I'd be glad to accommodate the board if they say, hey, I need some ethics or whatever, but I do have an ethics with the enrolled agent. But that's where I'm at, and I just want to keep going. I probably don't have long to go, but I'd like to at least go out with a CPA license because I could pick up a few more tax returns. And as you know, the economy is real tough, and I'm 86 years old, working on Social Security and a few enrolled agent tax returns, and it's almost month to month. So this is why I want to do that, and I would go along with the board on any recommendations they want to do if they want me to take further education or whatever, but I just feel I'm caught in this, and I don't want to re-litigate this situation, but I was caught in a trap when I was in Arizona, turning everything over to the real estate company, and I just didn't protect myself. So, but I agreed with the state real estate people to just never practice real estate, gave up my license. I gave up all license I had, and excuse me, that's all I have.
Okay. Anything else you want to tell us?
Not really. I mean, I'm trying to be truthful with you and say, hey, I'd like to be able to write a few more tax returns, and I could pick up a little more business as a CPA. Some people don't want enrolled agents writing their tax returns. They prefer a CPA, but that is what it is, I guess.
Okay. Mr. Takar, cross-examination.
Yes, thank you. Mr. Wyckoff, you mentioned that you've been self-employed pretty much your whole career.
Yeah.
But could you give us a summary of the accounting work that you did before you surrendered your license in 2020?
Accounting work was basically corporation tax returns, private tax returns, individual tax returns, a little consulting, and that was it. I really never completed a complete audit. The only audit I ever did was on the E1 form to get your certificate, and that was like 45 years ago. And I've never done any compilations or anything like that. Basically, I've just been a tax guy.
Mr. Wyckoff, tell us about your tax practice as an enrolled agent since 2023.
Since 2023, I have approximately 35, 36 tax clients that I prepare as an enrolled agent. There's 1, 2, 3 corporations, a couple S corporations, and the balance are 1040s and Schedule Cs, and I have a few that I do pro bono, relatives and friends, but it's a real small practice. It's just enough to get by.
Mr. Wyckoff, what did you do wrong in a real estate transaction back in the 2000s that resulted in 2 clients getting a large judgment against you?
Yeah. Basically, what happened, one of these people that I knew wanted to sell their apartment building in San Diego. So I knew I could not help them sell it, but if I went with a broker and listed it with that broker, the broker could sell it. So I picked out a broker. We made a deal, and it got listed, and I was unaware of the broker having a problem with creating what we call a straw buyer that he put on the contract so he could actually get the contract lined up and then take his time to sell it and not have to pay any other broker. And the thing went to mitigation. I wanted to resolve it and get out of there, but as I am an employee of the agency under the agency law, I had no power to do that, so I had to stay with the broker. And the broker, rather than trying to pay the client a few dollars so we wouldn't have to go to court, decided to go to court. So I got dragged into court. At that time, I was living in Arizona, and it was hard getting back and forth. I just was a victim. I tried to explain my situation, and the judge called me, there's a term for it, hostile witness. So I was lost. So I just accepted whatever and went on with life.
Did you pay any part of the judgment against you?
The real estate department agreed that if I would promise to surrender my license, never practice real estate again in the state, that they would waive any judgment.
But I'm not talking about your obligations with respect to the California Department of Real Estate, but towards those 2 plaintiffs that won a judgment against you, for, it was totaled about $500,000. Did you pay any part of that $500,000 to them?
No, I had no money. I had nothing, no.
Did those 2 individuals, those 2 clients, get any compensation for their losses at any time?
I think they get money from the state real estate board. There was a situation that if I don't know how it works, and maybe you do as a lawyer, but the board will actually reimburse them some money for their loss. And I think they did, if you want to check it out.
Why did you never report the civil fraud judgment to the Arizona or California boards?
All right, I made a mistake, okay? It was my fault. I just thought, and maybe I'm stupid, but I thought, hey, that's a real estate transaction. Does it have anything to do with the California Board of Accountancy? And in my ignorance, I said no, and I should have checked yes. And I am guilty of that. And I truly, sincerely apologize for that.
Why didn't you report the 2018 Arizona disciplinary order to this California board?
I had moved back to California, and I just thought everything was all over, really. You know, at a point in life, I was just ready to give up.
So do you want to receive your CPA certificate again? Why should this board trust you not to engage in misconduct in the future?
Well, because what's happening, I have reference letters from clients. I actually have purchased a surety bond, and I've taken ethics course, and it's my own statement that I will not be involved in anything other than tax returns, and I'm covered with tax returns with the surety bond and that type of thing. I think I'm okay on that.
All right, those are all the questions I have, Your Honor.
Okay. Do any of the board members have any questions for Mr. Wyckoff? I'll start on this side. If any of the board members have any questions, please raise your hand. Yes, go ahead.
Yes.
Mr. Wyckoff, thank you for coming today.
Sure.
Are you required to have a surety bond in order to prepare tax returns?
I think it's not required, but I thought it would be a feather in my hat, so to speak, to prove that, hey, you know, if anybody has anything, they can charge against it. But I'm not sure, as an enrolled agent, that you're required to have a surety bond. I think if you're just a tax preparer with California only, there's a special license you get for that. Then you do have to have a surety bond for that. But as an enrolled agent, I think it's a higher level.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Go ahead.
Thanks for being here today. And I'm wondering, for your 2 referral letters, did those folks, did they know about your prior conviction?
Yes, I told them what had happened, and I told them that I can still write tax returns. It has to be as an enrolled agent, but I'm not a CPA, and if you want to go to another person, that's fine. But I had been with these people for a while. I think there's 3 letters in there. And they said, that's fine, we'll wait and see what happens, and maybe you might get reinstated someday. And I said, fine, but I assure you I'm an enrolled agent, I'm not a CPA. I've never held out to be a CPA, never, since the time the license was revoked.
Right. Thank you. And then with regards to the continuing education, you have 20 credits, about 20 credits is what I saw in there. I'm wondering, if I'm not mistaken, I don't know how many you'll have to get reinstated. I thought it might be 80 hours, but why not more than 20 hours of continuing education? I think I heard you say that it was because you weren't licensed.
That's correct, and maybe I'm confused, but I don't understand how I can take CPA education continuing when I'm not licensed. The education I get in there right now is all enrolled agent continuing education, which I have to have 16 units each year on that, I think. But I'm willing, if the board approves me, to go back and take California ethics and CPA courses and that, but I have to have a license to do it, because when you sign up for these things, they want your CPA license, and I have no license.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any further questions? Go ahead.
Thank you very much. I have a couple items. The first one is housekeeping, and I apologize for not asking this sooner. It's just a materials question. PET 034 has a personal address, and I wasn't sure if that needed to be redacted.
I can't hear, but
I think she's asking about whether or not a document needs to be redacted, Mr. Wykoff.
Not for you. It's for our Attorney General and Judge.
And Mr. Drakkar, do you have that page number by chance?
Yes, I'm looking at it. That should be redacted.
What page is it? Do you have?
34?
It's 30 WRWPET 34.
Is that in Exhibit 4?
I think it's in 3.
Exhibit
It's
3?
the first page of Exhibit 3.
First page of Exhibit 3,
Oh, no.
as a certification of license history.
It's a letter of reference.
This isn't right.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a corresponding case center Bates number you can give me, Mr. Wayne.
Judge, I think I had 3 letters in there, but I think the attorney only read 2. I think maybe that might be the problem, is 3 letters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want the numbers at the bottom of the page? Would that be of help?
It might be Mr. Drakkar.
It's WRW-PET 034. It is, I think, the third one.
It's page 828 in Case Center
828.
and Exhibit 1.
Okay.
Just a second.
And thank you very much for spotting that, Board Member Salazar. Good.
Give me just a second, folks. Okay, there it is, 828, and it has his personal address on it. I'm going to actually redact that myself in Case Center, which is the official record. If no one else is in Case Center to see it, I have just done so in Case Center. It's been redacted. Is there only one address on that page I need to be concerned about?
Oh, good catch.
Oh, at the bottom, got it. Thank you. I'll redact the telephone number as well. Okay, anything else? No, all right, did you have any questions?
I do. Thank you. This question is for you, Mr. Wykoff. So can you share with me whether or not you took additional courses or spent additional time preparing to pass the EA exam? I know you have certificates in here. Were those the ones after you passed the exam, or did you take additional steps to ensure your knowledge is current prior to?
The ones I have in the file should be fairly current.
Yes.
But they're related to enrolled agent licensing.
Yes.
Not CPA licensing, because I can't take a CPA first because I'm not a CPA.
Yeah. How did you prepare yourself to be current in your knowledge of tax rules? Were you to be granted your CPA license back? So what preparation, what was the process to ensure that you are prepared to take a license back, which is what you're asking for
Yes,
here?
yes.
So can you describe that? We do see you pass.
I would spend my money to go to seminars and courses and
Okay.
again, take another ethics course, got a CPA ethics, which is probably very similar to the enrolled agent ethics, but I have no problem spending money doing that. And I'd like to say this, at my age 86, and I am a cancer survivor, that's why I can't talk very good. I lost part of my parotid gland. I probably only got another 5 or 7 years or so, but I'd like to at least be able to pick up enough income to survive. With a CPA license, tax only, no audit, no compilation, none of that. And I would swear on that, just to earn enough money to get by, because it's so very expensive, as you know, to live. Where I live in an apartment, the senior apartments, they just raised our rent $300 a month. I mean, it's unconscionable. It's very difficult. I'm surviving probably on $30,000 a year. And I don't think anybody in here could survive on that.
Thank you. And then my final question is, you have mentioned several times that you probably only have a set number of years left in your personal practice. So can you share whether or not you have made any plans to transition your current clients should you not be able to
Here's what I
perform?
plan.
Hold on a second. Let's wait for a question to finish before you answer so that our court reporter can get everything down.
All
Okay?
right, sure.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Mr. Wyckoff.
Okay, my plan is, if in fact I get reinstated and if I follow the recommendations of education and everything that's required, I probably want to practice probably another 4 years and then retire my licenses, all my licenses. And I do have some people I know that probably that would just turn over some of my practice too. I don't want any money out of it. I just want to, I have a few friends I went to school with and they'd be happy to take it over. I do have some good quality clients over the years, but my plan is basically just to, if I do get a license, after another 4 years, I'll probably retire the license and I'm out of it completely and maybe move on to a cheaper place to live like Utah or Arizona or something like that.
Okay? Any
No more questions.
further questions? Okay. Having seen no further questions, I have no further questions. Mr. Drakar, if you'd like to provide a closing, and then Mr. Wyckoff, I'll allow you an opportunity for a closing as well.
Speaking to public protection concerns, I would ask this board to consider whether Mr. Wyckoff has truly acknowledged his past wrongdoing. That is a crucial element of rehabilitation. I would also suggest that if you choose to reinstate Mr. Wyckoff's certificate, that you take him up on his suggestion of restricting him from performing any attestation work, and that restricted license should be on probation with appropriate terms and conditions. I believe, though, that you have all the relevant information that you need to make an informed decision on this matter, and thank you for hearing from me on behalf of the people.
Okay, give me just a second. All right, Mr. Wyckoff, if you'd like to provide a closing statement, now is your opportunity.
Sure. I feel I'm an honest, God-fearing, fair person. I'm a United States Air Force veteran. I do have high ethics. I attend church, and I believe I just made a terrible mistake by getting involved with these real estate people years ago, but it's ancient history. There's nothing we can do about it. But I pledge my best effort to act in a professional management way. I'm sorry for the cancer, and do the best again in the remaining several years that I have left, and then retire my license after I get, say, age 90. I thank the board for hearing me. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Wyckoff. With that, the matter is submitted and the record is closed. And Mr. Milana, if you have a page count and if you have any spelling requests or any information you may need, now is your opportunity. Okay.
Yeah, submitted at 35 pages today,
Thank you.
and I'll correct it at 9:49.
Thank you. 35 pages, you said?
Okay.
Okay. All right. Matter is closed, so I will turn it back over to,
Yeah. We're all done. Okay. Am I excused?
yes, you may be
Okay.
excused.
Thank you very
so much, sir.
All of you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Wyckoff.
Yep.
Now we'll be moving on to agenda item 2, which we will be moving into closed session for to deliver on the petition and in closed session matters. Once closed session is completed, the CBO meeting will adjourn for the day to allow members to participate in outreach events. The CBO meeting will convene tomorrow, September 20th at 9 a.m.